Hey everybody, welcome back to the Fish Tank. Now, if you checked out my latest video, you will have seen we got hands-on with the MiniMasters 2.0 beta. We had a look at all the new UI stuff and gave our feedback. So if you haven't checked that out, there'll be a link somewhere. So check that out and bring yourselves up to speed on it. But today we're going to have a look at the new master that's been added. Now, Tronvir the Rune Shaper, he is in the beta, but he's not fully finished yet, not fully balanced, and we're likely to have another beta specifically about him at some point in the future. But we're going to look at him and see where he is at the moment. Now, the plan with Tronvir is for him to be launched with 2.0, and we are expecting the 2.0 prologue, and that's effectively when everybody goes from 1.51, I think it's going to be, to 2.0. That we're expecting that to be in December sometime. So we've been told winter. We're expecting sort of December. So the next season should be a long season, and hopefully in December, fingers crossed, not confirmed, we'll see the 2.0 prologue launch. But anyway, let's have a look at Tronvir and see what he does and how he does it. So here we can see Tronvir, and as you can see, he's got a giant rock rune, however you want to describe it. And that's basically his entire identity is around these rocks. So first of all, his auto attack, the Stone Smash. So he hurls one of these stones. So it does 150 damage. Massive damage for an auto attack from a master, but very slow, once every 6 seconds. So very hard hitting, but slow. So very bad against horde or small units. Very good against bigger units. Range of 10, which is kind of probably sort of an average master range. Longer than King Puff, so that's probably all that really matters there. And also interestingly, his attack does a knockback. Now, I don't think we have any master attacks that do knockbacks, and the reason that's interesting is once a unit gets knocked back, then it can potentially re-aggro. So you need to take that into account, because, you know, a lot of times we use our health as a resource, we let stuff aggro on our face, but now we have to take into account, is it going to get knocked off of our face? And if it does, is it going to re-aggro onto our defensive unit? So that's an interesting kind of a skill expression thing to consider. So that's his auto attack, the Stone Smash. Now, next up, we have his perk 1. So his perks are all about throwing these stones, and they do different things. So perk 1, Rune Carving. So he gets a single-use runestone card every 30 seconds. So as probably we would expect, a timer-based perk. So what happens with this rune is he can throw it. And then each time you throw it, the next one is a different one. There's 3 different types. Now, I think you get a random one first and then they follow a set order. Not confirmed, but that's normally what happens. So there's 3 types of runes. The Rune of Wind, the Rune of Frost, and the Rune of Ancestry. So what happens with the Rune of Wind? It has a longer range than the other. So that range is how far you can throw it. So the Rune of Wind can be thrown further than the others. So that means the Rune of Wind can be thrown into the other side of the arena, sort of just on the other side of the bridges, and we'll see that in a little bit. So the Rune of Wind is basically a removal spell. So it's longer range and it deals 200 damage in an area. So it's kind of just basically a removal spell. Rune of Frost. So this is shorter range, but it gets 300 health shield. So it's kind of a tanky thing. So it gets a 300 health shield that inflicts frozen on nearby enemies when the shield is depleted. So it's a tanky thing that has a shield. Once the shield is gone, then it freezes everything. So this is, you can use this kind of as your front line. And then the third type is the Rune of Ancestry. And this is a rune that summons a couple of minions. Again, this is a shorter range one, so you can only use it on your side of the field. These guys, they do 50 DPS and have 150 health. So you get a couple of extra guys there. So they cost 2 mana. And there we can see the range. It's kind of a little bit confusing. The minimum range, the maximum range. We've got the extra range with the Rune of Wind. But hopefully it makes sense when we look at it. And of course, all of these things can change when the balancing is completed. They last 15 seconds. Now, I'm not 100% sure if the regular ones do damage and the Rune of Wind does extra damage. We'll try to figure that out when we test it So we'll see if we can figure that out. So that's his perk 1, the runes. Perk 2, runic empowerment. So you continue throwing your runes, but each time you use it, the next ground minion that you play after throwing that rune gets a buff based on the type of rune. So if you threw the Rune of Wind, which is the removal spell damage rune, then you get your next ground minion has your next ground minion's attack does 100 damage AoE. So your next ground minion that you spawn is kind of empowered, so you want to make sure that when they use that first attack, you get some good value out of it. Rune of Frost. This, when you use it, your next ground minion will spawn with the Frost Shield, and of course, again, when the Frost Shield depletes, then the everything will be frozen around it. And Rune of Ancestry, your next ground minion that spawns gets the Ancestry minions to support them. So that's his perk 2. And then perk 3, Runic Mastery, reduces the cooldown of your perk 1, which was every 30 seconds, so down to 25 seconds. And then, for one time only, the next time you would have got a runestone, so this is after you hit perk 3, you gain a word stone, which is a runestone that is empowered with all 3 rune carvings. So it does the damage, it has the frost shield, and it has the ancestors with them. And not only that, the next ground minion, it says the next minion, doesn't specify ground, so maybe unconfirmed there, but it says the next minion you play gets all 3 runic empowerments. So that's the powerful first attack, the frost shield, and the support. So the perk 3 is kind of a one-time only thing, where you get this big word stone and the empowered minion, and then you get the overall reduction by 5 seconds going forward. So hopefully that makes sense how he works, and let's jump into some bot match gameplay to see if we can figure him out.
Masters, prepare to get your minion on, and we're off.
Let's see him in action. So we'll try to check out his auto attack. So you should hit hard but slow. Let's see how he does against this wolf here. Okay, so big damage, knockback, but very slow attacking. So it's going to take a while for his next attack. Boom. Does hit ground and air, FYI. That's his auto attack. We'll try to see his perks now. So as we discussed before, his perks are all around throwing these runes and getting the bonuses from them.
Blue has obtained their first perk.
We've unlocked the blue one, the next one, which is, this is the frost one. So you can see the range on this at the moment. So it will do, I think, some damage as it lands. Okay, so it does some damage, 100 damage as it lands, and it has this shield, so when it goes down, it should freeze everything. Looks like it freezes air as well, so that may or may not be confirmed. We've got the new Storm Tamer unit down here, by the way. So he's like an inverse, as it was described on my YouTube channel by some smart fella, an inverse net blaster, so he's bringing things from the ground into the air. Only single target though, so not AoE like the Net Blaster. Right, the next rune we have is the Ancestor one. So I'm surprised how deep you can spawn this. And it may or may not end up being that you can do this. See if we get those support units. And then we've also got the support units over here. This is our perk 2. Our next minion was empowered by the rune we used, so we get the extra units. And you can see the little sort of flashing around the edge of the screen. Can't see it too much on this arena, but it's a new thing to show you when you're burning mana, so we like that. There you can see the Storm Tamer can hit air as well. Okay, so next up is our Wind rune. This one we can spawn really far away. And remember, it does 200 damage when it lands. Has a knockback as well. And then the next minion that we spawn, the next ground minion, should be empowered. Will he attack this when it comes down? Not sure if that was empowered or not. Right, and then our final rune here. So where are we? We're not perk 3 yet, so this is going to be the Frost one again. The Frost Shield. I feel like the perk 2 doesn't seem to work all the time. But remember, this is not a finalized master, so those things are to be expected. So now we're at perk 3, the next one we get should be empowered with all of the carvings. So it should do the extra damage, give us the minions, and have the shield. You can see, it's got everything. Bam. And then our next ground minion will have all of the things as well. So here we see he's got the extra stuff, he's got the shield, and he should do an AoE attack. You can see he's got some swirling stuff around him. That's probably telling us that he's got that attack. I remember that big... that's a one-time only perk 3 thing with that big rune and big support. But our runes are now every 25 seconds. So we do have some ongoing presence. There we get the rune of ancestry. So it does a little bit of damage when it comes in. Also, if you play it correctly, you can maybe use this as a little bit of a tank. And then you've got the support units. So hopefully that gives you an idea of how he works, how the different runes work, how they interact with each other, what his auto attack is like, and give you an idea of what his sort of playstyle's like.
Red is dead.
GG.
Blue wins with the redemption.
And that's it. That's Tronvir. So, guys, thanks for joining me today. As a reminder, he's not a fully fleshed out master yet. Well, he's fully fleshed out, but he's not necessarily fully complete or balanced. So we'll maybe get a further test specifically about him. So remember, if you're in the current 2.0 beta, it's the kind of the requirement for that beta is to pay attention to the UI and to give your feedback on that, because the gameplay is basically the same as we already know and love. Okay, so Tronvir coming in 2.0, hopefully by the end of the year. Let me know what you think. He's got some different mechanics to what we've seen before, so definitely let me know in the comments what you think about his differing mechanics. What do you think about his playstyle? Do you think he's going to be strong or weak? What kind of deck do you want to play with him, for example? Those kind of things. Always fun to have that sort of discussion. And actually, before we go, little extra, he does have his first skin, which is this Gravedigger skin. And as you can see, he has this coffin, and that coffin is his auto attack. So when he auto attacks, he throws that coffin. So that's a cool little thing as well. So his first skin is available already. So check that out if you want to see it. Right. So there we go. Remember, keep up to date. Make sure you hit those subscribe buttons so you don't miss out on any information regarding Minion Masters. Make sure you join the Discord, follow the discussions, get involved in the betas, help test the product, give your feedback. Let's make Minion Masters 2.0 as awesome as it can be. Thanks for joining me. I'm Bad as a Fish, and as always, I'm awkwardly waving.